cool. It's been okay. I don't think I would ever do 12 hours again. Maybe 8, but
or build yourself in a break. I was like, oh, this
yeah,
is
I definitely had a break. I was playing music over here, just sitting, chilling, or whatever. But I did have a break in between. I did go use the bathroom. I was like, I'll be right back, y'all. So, Antionette, can you tell the people who you is and what you be doing up in these healing streets?
what do I do up in these healing streets? So Antionette Jenkins, oh gosh, slash.
The slashes.
What's
Keep
right?
coming.
What's all the names in the street? Slash
Names, what
Mia
names?
Son slash Jacoje, and in the hood slash Pumpkin.
Okay.
Um, I have affectionately titled myself the
Mm-hmm.
It Girl, the Integration and Transformation Maven, because as us Scorpios, we always in the deep and looking for the root cause of things.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognize that I like just naturally do that. Like I'm all up in your business and not necessarily because like I want to know and I gotta tell and it's just that's where it is.
Right.
That's where it is. But once I get in there, I'm able to help people. And that's just on a regular, like conversational basis.
Yep.
I find that happens even if I am out on the street.
Yeah.
Like I'm the person that's always like, well, random people
Person will just tell you shit like,
just
sis.
tell me shit. Exactly.
So
And
when did that start happening for you when you realized that you had this sacredness about you?
I want to say realizing it recently, like
Mm-hmm.
within the last, 2 to 3 years. But within hindsight,
Mm-hmm.
I can look back and be like, oh, I've always been that person and just not recognizing it. Right.
Yeah.
And just being like, wow, people really tell me stuff, some
Mm-hmm.
interesting personal
Mm-hmm.
things. And for whatever reason, there is the answer, or there is where I send them to look for
Yes.
the answer.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Definitely
She
been.
says, she says, I feel that we're talking about let's get deep. Let's get deep with it. Let's get deep. Yeah. So how did you come up with the concept that you recently launched about the sacred woman or sacred sensuality circle?
Oh,
Um,
sensuality and self pleasure sacred circle.
that part.
That part. So, so I've been just on this journey of like healing, physically, spiritually, and maybe it's been 2 years, and
Mm-hmm.
the circle part wasn't even in the picture. Maybe about 2 years ago, um, I was feeling stuck.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I'm a big bang person, or what I call burning bush. Like I'm always impulsive, going after
Mm-hmm.
excitement, like I'm daring, those types of things. And I felt bored. And I think it was right when I relocated to Savannah. And yeah, I just felt bored. And not because of Savannah, but I'm alone. Um, and I want some fun. But at that point, fun, pleasure, bliss had all been relegated to these major things, right? Like, do I want an orgasm? Do I want to have like those types of things? And I was like, that's not sustainable.
Yeah, I get
Right?
it.
When we think about life is mostly made up of mundane, regular, everyday occurrences.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And I
And
think too, because you're on such a emotional, mental, spiritual level where you've ascended and elevated millions of times, like that will be mundane to you because your frequency is not of like a normal person because you're such a
mhm.
spiritual person. Like it wouldn't benefit anything of you to do that.
So yeah, that part. And so So I'm sitting there and I'm like, I get like decision fatigue. I'm tired of like thinking. I just want to do the thing. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, what can I do to bring me happiness? What can I do to bring me joy? What can I do to bring me pleasure? And I was tired of thinking. So I started looking for oracle decks. I was like, there got to be a deck that I could just pull
Mm-hmm.
from. You know what I mean? There's self-care decks, there's this, there's that. But all I kept coming upon was like tantra decks or um
Yep.
your decks with a partner. And I'm like, no, it's me. I want something for myself. So one of
Mm-hmm.
my homegirls, she repurposes games that and turns them into either drinking games or sexual games or that type of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I did something using blocks. So similar to Jenga blocks. So I call it the pleasure tower. And
Oh,
what
okay.
happened? Yes.
I think I listened.
So
No, I think I listened to your video that you did last week about the Jenga tower and the
uh-huh.
block, and then you were talking about how you were able to kind of like grab ideas from that aspect of
So
what
I
you did.
what do you mean? Say that again.
You were saying something about the Jenga blocks itself and how you were
Mhm.
able to kind of like think of the different way how to create something that is near an oracle deck.
Oh, right. So right. It started off as the Jenga set or the pleasure tower. So I
Mm-hmm.
sent her had to brainstorm over 50 different experiences that I would
Mm,
want that can bring me pleasure or bliss or joy. And then she wrote them into the Jenga set.
mm,
So each block has a different experience. So
gotcha.
as I'm waiting for her to create that, I'm literally like washing dishes, and Spirit was like, "So you gonna make that into your Oracle deck?" And I was like, "But that means that I have to write this guide." Right? Listen, sometimes Spirit talk to me like she a New Yorker, and
She in her former life she used to be a New Yorker. That's why
I'm like, "You just gonna sun me like that? Got it?
she sunned
Okay,
you. She sunned you all right. She said, "Son."
right? Like talk to me nice. Goodness."
Mhm.
So I was like, okay, I'll create the guidebook. And so now it could be so it's not officially done. The guidebook is done where I've
Mhm.
created like a what this experience is. There's some embodiment prompts for the experience, and then there's a section that's like going deeper. So how does
Mhm.
it fit into the context of your womanhood and femininity?
Right.
So the experiences, they range from what I call simple pleasures, right? Because our simple pleasures can
Mhm.
come at any moment. How
Mhm.
often do you just scarf down your food, even if in the first bite you go, this is good, but
Not
then
all
you
the time because you're so busy in here. You want to
talking
get
on
right on the laptop, scrolling on social media. Right.
exactly. But if you just get present, so in the simple pleasure, sometimes if you just settle yourself, get present, and use all of your senses, right? That's why I have sensuality first. It's about tapping into your senses to
Mhm.
really connect with what you're doing. So if you
Mhm.
eat that meal with all your senses and feel it in your body, there's pleasure, there is
Yeah.
bliss,
It's just
right?
like when you take a shower, instead of rushing to take a shower, smell the soap, how the water is touching the body, how the soap is touching the body, like the moisturization and all that stuff that takes place while you're in the shower or in your bath.
Oh, exactly.
Mhm.
Exactly. So not every experience is about what mainstream would call sexual or pleasure. Now there
Right.
are, it goes all the way to the spicy. It
Right.
definitely does. There are a few in that category, but there are more in like what I call simple pleasure. Um, and then I go simple pleasure, saucy, and then spicy. So there's
Like
more in the simple pleasure and saucy because we're always there. Maybe you
yeah.
just need to write an erotic scene
Right.
and that lights you up, right?
Exactly.
Maybe
And I
you
think
just
it's
need to
good too
celebrate
because
your. Go ahead.
I think it's good too, especially for women who are beginners when it comes to like touching themselves or exploring what their bodies look like and feel like, because they've been with partners so long, or maybe they've never achieved having an orgasm because they're not comfortable with their bodies and themselves, or they're in their heads and they don't know how to like let go, or they always want to be in control where they're not
Mhm.
giving themselves the opportunity just to be still in a moment.
Exactly. Exactly. So I have those self-exploration cards as well, or
Nice.
experiences for the deck, where it's like we're gonna just go with touch.
Mm-hmm.
Grab you a few items. How do they
Mm-hmm.
feel on different areas of your body? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Find a new erogenous zone.
Yep, absolutely. I agree with 100%. I'm all about the erogenous zones. I need to figure it out, find it all over the place. Just touch me. That's just me. But that's good. So when is it actually being, when are you coming out with it? Is it launched already? Is it already on
So yes,
sale?
so it is launched already and it begins. Yes. I launched last week. The circle begins December 3rd and
Okay.
it goes until March 11th. We
Mm-hmm.
meet and we're going to meet every Tuesday at 8 p.m. for
Mm-hmm.
60 to 75 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And what it is just like if you were getting a card reading or pulling something intuitively. I'm going to ask the women to, sit with their spirit, pick a number from 1 to 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'm going to pull either from the deck or the pleasure tower
Mm-hmm.
to get their experience.
That's
And
what's
they're going to have a week to experience it, to go through it. And I'll send them the part of the guidebook that aligns to that. Um, and of course hoping that they go through the journal prompts to get
yeah.
settled into it, because there was one thing in my Q&A last night. I've also explained to them that you might have resistance to some of the cards,
Yep.
to
And
some of
that's
the
okay.
experiences, and that is powerful because getting through that resistance will open your capacity for more pleasure because
Yep.
you didn't know it was there.
Absolutely.
So
Is
don't
this
take that as a go
is
ahead.
this in person or online?
It's going to be online at because everyone is everywhere at this
Yeah.
point. But we
Indeed.
are going to culminate with, or those who want to culminate in an in-person retreat during the weekend of what's that, spring equinox.
Okay, cool.
Because I felt like this is winter. This is when everyone gets, vitamin D deficiency, is seasonal depression. We're not going to do that, right? We're
No,
going to spend the winter in pleasure and pop out during the spring. We outside
there we
because we
go.
be feeling good.
Instead of having the summer body, we're gonna have the pleasure body.
Hey, all of
Pleasure
that.
body. The
The
pleasure
pleasure
body. That's
body.
awesome. I love it. So do you have any other things that you want to discuss and talk about, or, with the business and whatnot? Do you have any special offers for the holidays?
Well, right now, that's it. That is my main focus, is to settle in my pleasure so that I can be open and hold space for the beautiful women that are coming through.
Hmm.
There's some other things percolating, but that right
Okay,
there is
good.
my main focus. Like I love to do a good to facilitate a good mushroom journey. Like
Okay.
medicine journeys are my jam, to be able to sit and hold space for people and then integrate with them after. But that's usually like as a one on, not one on one, but as needed basis.
Right. That
In
makes
terms
sense.
of someone wants to come to me and they're going through a journey, or a group of people want to go through a journey, versus putting random
Yeah.
people in a
Yeah.
session,
That
because
makes sense. That's
it's
more
a
touchy.
whole process for me, right? Like there's a cleansing before, there's a protocol. It's, you know,
Wow. It is a process because you're exerting so much energy to like guide and give direction of how to go about doing that.
right.
Because I'm sure that mushrooms, I've never done it before, but I've known people who have, and some people have had a great experience with it and other people haven't. The ones that didn't have a great experience didn't have someone to guide them properly to go through the experience. So I understand that process, and for
Hmm.
you to hold space at the same time and offer your energy and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, child, yeah. That's
the
all
process for them, right? Like it's also let's have this conversation because you're not just fitting to pop something. Let's get a divination going. Exactly what is it that you need to heal from?
right. And why are you doing this in the first place?
And why you're doing it in the first place. Like I'm not against people who want to do it and they want the psychedelic effect and they want to party and because yes.
Right.
However, those who actually want to go through a spiritual journey and
Mm-hmm.
take the hero's dose or higher, we got to
Mm-hmm.
do some things and we got to set this up in a way that you come out great on the other side.
Absolutely. And you've learned a lesson, you've gained a couple of tools and skills, and you connect with whoever you're supposed to connect with in the spiritual world and make sure that's the spirit that is there for your highest and greatest good and not a fucking trickster lurking around like, ooh, let me get this person, So it's a lot that goes with that. So I completely understand why you would just take your time with it and make sure that it's just like one person at a time type situation. Because I've watched this documentary a couple years ago. It was called something about a shaman, the real shaman or something. And
Mm-hmm.
this white guy, and he went to college and did all the things, and he was on a quest to find himself, and he was having panic attacks and all that stuff. And he went to Peru and he was looking for different shamans to do ayahuasca.
Okay.
He found the person he was supposed to work with, and he took him on this journey, and it was very loving and compassionate, and the guy took his time with him and so on and so forth, and it helped him to go through the process of like no longer going through anxiety and depression and things like that. And when he came back to the States, he found himself always going into the forest. Like he would go to
Mm-hmm.
work home, but he was always in the forest. And they took him to a process where they put him in the ground, and the only thing that was visible was just his nose and his mouth for him to breathe. So
Okay.
they put him in the ground for like a good 12 hours for him to go through a process of rebirth. And then they had him in this room where he had to go through a whole ayahuasca for like 30 days, and gave him only Florida water and water. Florida water because ayahuasca, she came to him, and then like he had all these different demons and things, like just looking at himself in different ways. So they gave him Florida water to just cleanse his body, but he had to take the ayahuasca as well. So it was a very deep thing, and he found different shamans, and one shaman was telling two people, this is not your time to take ayahuasca, and the guy kept budging him and budging him. Guess what happened? The guy died. He died. And the shaman was like, I told him, and he didn't listen to me. So therefore, and
That's
the
what,
shaman,
right. That's why when you said 30 days, I'm like 30 days of ayahuasca. I've done ayahuasca. I'm not doing it.
he was in the room for 30 days. I was just like, oh, I guess. I was just like, okay, but he came out on top. He looked brighter, lighter, and all the things, and everything he was experiencing that was really holding him back from being the true self. This
Mhm.
man really helped him a lot. And then on top of that, they were trying to destroy the village where the shamans were, the real true shamans. And so they actually he was kicked out of his own village. Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm. Yep. So he couldn't practice anymore after that because I guess the powers that be that had the money went around
Mhm.
talking bad about him. So he ended up working like as a mechanic. Yeah. So he could no longer do what he loved. And so the guy came back to the States, and but he healed him in so many different ways. It's really good. I think it's called The Last Shaman. That's the name of the movie, the documentary.
Okay, so I'm gonna look that
And
up.
the other thing I wanted to mention to you too, have you seen Gwyneth Paltrow's Sex, Love, and Goop on Netflix?
Yeah, so I saw a specific episode because I went to a tantra retreat with
Mm.
um oh what was it? Atlanta Tantra, who
Mhm.
now she now calls herself the Amina Institute. And so Amina who
Hey, Clover
facilitated
Goop. Uh-huh.
who facilitated
Oh,
the
the
retreat
the Black Queen. Oh
was
my
on.
God. She
Yes,
did
yes, he was
everything.
on it. That's the only reason why I saw that institute. I mean that episode.
My favorite part of when Amina was talking, she was like, when you're having sex, who's holding the rush? She's like, I learned sex from porn. It's like, She was like, where are we going? What are we doing? Like, take your time with it, enjoy it. I was like, damn, you're right. She
Breathe
was like,
deep.
I heard sex from porn. That's not sex. That's not what you do. And I was like, okay. And then when she was talking to the older lady and she said, may I just robe in her body? I was like, it's like,
Honey,
okay. All right, honey.
honey,
You
honey.
dying, Glover Bullock? I was on the floor cracking up like, wow, the first time I saw it, I've seen it like maybe 3 times already because every time I watch it, I get a different lesson that I learn. Right. So, but thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate you, sis. I celebrate you, queen. Like I
Thank
said, I have
you.
your, all your information just scrolling in a banner across. We over here being all fancy. Follow you and work with you and stuff like that. I know you have your Gmail and whatnot. Do you have like a specific site that people can go look and see your stuff, like your information?
It's not, I'm not on the site. I'm that whole
We gonna have a conversation. I'm gonna meet you somewhere when I get back from North Carolina one of these days.
I don't know. I eventually I'll go that route, but it is time consuming.
I
It is
know it is
time
time consuming.
consuming.
Just
It
do
is
like a one page.
stressful, and it doesn't like I have a landing page for this, but outside of that,
But that's it. You just need a landing page.
yes,
Global Bullock
yes,
says
no, I have a landing page for the circle, but as far as like, because one of my good girlfriends was like, oh, okay, so we're gonna think through the theme, we're gonna think through this, we're gonna think through that. I am a whole literacy consultant. A whole, I'm a whole literacy consultant for 9 years. I paid for my website done twice. Ask me how often I use it.
never.
Never.
You know what I do? I just use beacons and call it a damn day and have like different like links and stuff on there, and that's it. Because for me right now, having a website, I don't want to do it. And even when you're out and about to networking events, what's the first thing they ask you? What's your Instagram? Your Instagram is your website.
Or
So
even
why have one?
and so yeah. So I say all that to say,
I got you. She said
email
sister was
me.
naked with a waist speed.
Say it again.
Glover Bullock says sister was naked with a waist bead. She had like 3 waist beads on her. I was here for it. I was loving it. I'm like, maybe 1, 2, 3. Oh, I got 4. Okay. 4 waist. But yeah, okay, so not a
Find
problem at
me
all.
at Punkin_79, spelled the country way, because I'm
Pumpkin.
PUNKIN
Oh
underscore
my Lord.
79. Yes, because that's how my cousin
That's
said
your
it.
Instagram?
Huh?
That's your Instagram?
That's my Instagram. It has underneath it, it has all my, slash, but it says Punkin79 because that's who I am. I have like there is no air about me. At the end of the day, I
I
am
know.
who
I
I
love
am.
that about
All
you,
of these
sis.
names and titles, they're there, but I don't.
And by the way, happy belated birthday, sis. I
Thank
celebrate you.
you. A
This
big
in Vegas just like
45 in the house.
how old?
45.
Okay, girl. I'm 47.
Yes.
But I'm glad that you had a good birthday. I saw your Instagram posts in Vegas and whatnot. So I'm so happy that you had a good time and that you are here with us, having another year of life, about to do the damn thing.
Yes. Thank you.
Celebrate
Thank
you
you.
completely.
Yes,
Absolutely.
I'm so excited about this circle for me and for you all who come to join, because every
Absolutely.
time I go through the experiences, I get,
Mhm.
deeper and just expand my capacity for pleasure. And I want to be juicy. I want to be juicy until the day I go underground.
I feel
Listen,
the
baby.
same way too. Like I want to have sex until I'm like 100 years old and shit. I want to have orgasms until I'm 100. I don't want to be one of them people that like, oh no, I don't want to do it. No, I want to do it until I can't do it anymore.
Listen, exactly.
Why not?
No shame with not a lick of shame.
Not, I don't have
None.
any shit like that. No, I
None.
say, if
Man,
I hear a
none.
woman with the red lipstick with some fishnet stockings dancing on the bars, that would be me.
And
All right, sis. I have another guest coming on, but thank you so much. I
thank
appreciate it.
you.